Jarvis. In this video, I'm going to be going over how I made 1.23R just looking at Jarvis Analytics and taking the trade. Let's get started. I'm going to go to 1x here. Try to speed it up a little bit. All right, let's pause it here. All right, so a couple of things. Obviously, this is a overview video, so I'm doing a lot of pausing. But we know when you're doing live trading, there's no pause, right? Market just keeps moving forward. But I'm going to do this video so you guys can get a better understanding on how to break down the intelligence in Jarvis and then be able to take the trade how you need to. So let's get started here. So first, it was a buy signal. Okay. Um, the macro here you can see is red. This is a actual heat map that happens on this particular column here, where it'll tell you like how much energy is in the market. When it's dark like this, it means there's no energy at all. When it's red, it means it's a high energy being built out in the structure. The state is compression, so that is the overall market, not just on the built of the structure, but just the overall market is in compression mode. Okay. Now we're getting to the actual structure itself, which is the trade status. The key is an A. All right. Which is the strongest key you can have for a structure in Jarvis is A key. It has 4 samples. Win rate is 75%. The PR on this particular structure, which is potential of additional return above the 1R configuration that I have in the journaling, which is here. Just come down to you know um, post confirmation forecast, and just as you can see, it's set to 1R, right? This is the journaling aspect of Jarvis. This is telling you that it actually even went 0.39R above, and this is actually a average, right, of all the wins. This is what we got. What else do we have here? Duration is 16 bars. So the average duration to hit TP is 16 bars. So 16 bars, 2-minute chart, you get what's going on, right? It's about 32 minutes. Almost a little bit over half an hour to hit TP for this structure. What else we got? Okay, it's a buy in a bullish high time frame sentiment bias, that is. So that correlates to this guy, EMX, which is on contract 1B row. This is the environmental matrix, basically saying how does this structure move in a specific environment. As you can see, is A 100%, meaning it's aligned, and all of the wins from this 75% happen when the structure, the signal, was aligned with the high time frame. So buy bullish is aligned, sell bearish is aligned. So that's what that means. The question mark. So Jarvis, because of all these little intricate, intelligent pieces, decision points that it has, because the sample size is so small, it's just letting you know, saying, hey, listen, this structure does extremely well when the signal is in the same alignment as the high time frame, but it's only 4 samples. So that means it's a thin. That's what the question mark means. It's a thin sampling um, percentage or data set that it provides. Then you have on contract 1C, you got TDS, which is tempo drift state. So you can see it was slow and it was balanced. This H1, H up rather, this is actual live participation. This is participation at confirmation latch, at confirmation snapshot. So this is a snapshot. This never changes. This constantly changes. Every bar is changing. Okay, so that's what that means there. And then we have our sniper row, which is basically saying, hey, this was a balanced. It started off balanced and it ended green, so it definitely got upgraded, right? It went from a balanced type of trade to green. The red sniper means that based off of these stats and based off of my sniper configuration, which is configured here, sniper mode, it gave it a red. So it's saying don't take this trade. Okay. Yellow minus is the acceptance, right? So the acceptance follow through was weak, and it wasn't even a regular week. It was a little bit less than a week. So it was, I want to say it was rejected, but if you had to look at it as a gradient, this yellow minus is lower than the yellow. So it's lower than weak, which means it's actually a little bit worse than weak. Look at the DNA. Undefined, structure-led, fragile, and the confidence score is a -1. So that's the stats, right? That's the stats while the structure is being built out. A good 90% to 95% of this HUD gets filled by this confirmation candle. So by confirmation, most of this stuff is filled out already. But the bottom portion for the sniper and the DNA happens when this A1 and A2 audit stuff prints. So I'm going to get into that now. A1 printed, that's acceptance. That's your acceptance candle. It printed strongly, which is good. It's a good sign. You want to see that. But based off of how this candle looks, this was an A1 strong print with a weak follow through. That's the reason why you see this yellow minus here. Jarvis is able to analyze these candles and get the size of them and know and is able to detect if it's a real strong candle or if it's a weak candle. Um, so that's that there. So then what do I do? Okay. I see the confidence score is a -1. Just because the confidence score is a -1 does not necessarily mean that the trade or the structure will not reach TP. It's just saying from a Jarvis perspective, in the first few candles that was generated on this signal, it is a -1 and it doesn't have the confidence of at least neutral. But here's where you get into having Jarvis run almost in an autonomous way and you utilizing your own trader intelligence to kind of like connect the dots. So as you can see, it's a -1, right? So if it's a -1 from Jarvis perspective, how you would rung it is you would basically say, okay, you know what? Um, because this is in a golden cross, which is a very big deal for structures, golden cross or death cross on the high time frame, it's now going to be from a -1, it's going to be a 1 now, right? So it's going from a -1 to a -1 to a 0. My bad. A -1 to a 0. So you take -1 plus 1 rung, R-U-N-G, and you kind of like turn the knob a little bit to more of a positive sentiment than a negative sentiment. Now it's you say the confidence is now 0. So from your perspective, you're telling Jarvis, hey, you're saying this is a -1 trade. I'm going to say it's neutral. Okay, but it's still not an amazing structure yet, right? Because there's a couple of things that's still kind of like off with it. First, if you look at TDS, the tempo is slow, the state is balanced. So when you see stuff like that, that means this structure may go up a bit, but it's going to be a retracement. So you don't enter market. Definitely don't enter market on anything that says slow or balanced. Definitely don't do that. Even with the Golden Cross territory, you do not do market. Okay. You go in as a limit. All right. So what I did was I chose a limit, and what I did was I didn't go in on the A2 candle or the A1 candle or the confirmation candle. I actually went in on the signal. Close. Entered here. Okay. The candles are gonna be building. We're gonna be playing it through. But this is where I entered at. Now, where did I bring my stop? Right now, I'm in the prop firm trying to build up my prop firm. So the max that I can really do, is 250. That's what I kind of like put myself to. But I got this down to like I think it was about 256. I went with this particular wick here, right? I didn't have enough risk to hit this wick. or this wick here. So I went with this wick. Okay. If you bring in your stop loss, do not bring it to the body of any candle. Choose a anchor point and make sure that anchor point candle has a wick and a decent sized wick if you can. So I went with this one here. Okay. Theoretically, the best wick looking at this structure right now would have been this guy. Okay. But look what would have happened with my risk. It's too much risk. It's 394. Can't risk that. Okay. Because another thing too with this trading, you just got to stick to your guns and stick to your discipline. So I got it to like about a little bit about like right around here. That's where I stopped it at. Now, this is not just Jarvis running. All this that I've been showing you is Jarvis, but I do have other indicators in the background running. One of it being the OHLC stat map from 2 degrees. 2 degrees, basically takes all of those candles and it creates a stat map and says this is where I believe the intraday market's going to be in regards to liquidity grabs. So there's a red line here that I decide as my bearish manipulation, basically. All right, I'm not going to do any 2 degrees, you know, breakdown of this. It's just I just wanted to put it out there just to let you know that to keep it honest that this is another indicator. This is not Jarvis here. This particular line is not Jarvis. Okay. So what I did was I said, you know what? I'm just going to bring this thing up to here. Okay. Now, my main thing for me is, and how I've been trading lately is I go with 1R. Even my journaling is 1R that I got it configured in Jarvis, okay? But I brought this up. This was about a 2.51R. Um, I just brought it up to this manipulation zone because I just figured like that's probably where the market's going to go anyway. It's a golden cross. There's going to be enough energy build to bring it up. So I just brought it there. But technically, 1R was enough for me. So I entered limit, created my order, enter limit. Watch what's going to happen. Okay, let's pause it here for just 1 second. This, as you can see, I know Jarvis said it was slow. I'm not going to go against Jarvis because Jarvis uses math. It's not eyeball viewing your eyes to see if this is true or not. This is Jarvis using math for this. Okay. Um, it said it was slow, so I'm just going to go with it. I'm not going to go against it. Okay. But if you look at this particular structure build, this got some momentum here, right? But watch what's going to happen after the fact. Boom. This was my tap in. Okay. It tapped me in here. See, I entered here, tapped me in here. From here to here, once I saw this candle starting to retrace, I got out, right? Because technically I was already over 1R anyway. Um, so I got out. So it was 1.23R that I got out with. But this is the beauty about this, how this, when you're looking at these structures and how these candles, they're all communicating with each other, right? And these market makers are talking to each other. That's the reason why when we built this out, it was a strategy, we call it the market structure factory strategy because technically all of these candles are just on the conveyor belt and the market maker is just dropping these candles on the conveyor belt and is creating these crazy structures. So I knew looking at this HUD and what Jarvis told me in the first few candles, it told me express calm. And that's what I did. I did not FOMO. I didn't chase it at A2 or A1 candle. I came in at actually signal. I came in at the signal close, not even confirmation, right? And look what it did. It came all the way back down to the signal close and it tapped me in with this wick. So none of my risk was touched. So that's basically how I got my 1.23R. And this is basically what it was breaking down to. And I'll leave it with this, right? What really happened here, right? This was not, I bought a signal. This was weak conflicted structure detected. Golden cross territory provided a rehabilitation potential, which that's that rung, right? adding that +1 to that -1 confidence score. Accepted strength, improved outlook. That was that A1 print, right? But a weak follow through prevented overconfidence. That's the other thing too. That's that yellow minus saying, hey, strong acceptance print, but weak follow through. Slow, balanced TDS justified patience. So that's telling you, you're getting into the structure, do not FOMO. Express patience. Wrists structurally compressed around wick protection. That's where I pulled my stop loss down, to that specific wick, right? Temporal elasticity window defined. Okay, so you know what? There's one thing I forgot to tell you guys. My bad. So when I got in at confirmation, as you can see, the candles were already moving in that direction, right? It's already, I'm going back in the past to enter my limit, but the market is moving in the present day, in the present minute, right? So what you normally got to do is, and this is where we're using the structural elasticity intelligence that is also part of Jarvis, but that only happens when the state here is either pullback or continuous. But because it was balanced, it doesn't apply that logic. So I applied it manually. So this is what I did. The SEI happens on the A2 candle, and it creates a ray line of 12 candles. So what did I do? I just simulate that. I said, since I entered here at confirmation, A2 is here, I'm just going to count. So I said, okay, grab my vertical line, came here, and said, all right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I drew my line here. I said, if that market does not come back and tap me in by here, I'm deleting the order. This is where discipline is. You're not saying, oh, it's going to give me some more time. I got some more time. No, because the reason why you don't want to say that is the market moves with idea, and an idea has a decay. And over time, that idea will decay if that specific expected outcome does not happen. So my expected outcome for the market was, if I'm entering limit, I'm expecting the market to tap me in 12 candles max, because you figure 12 candles on a 2-minute time frame is 24 minutes. So I'm giving the market 24 minutes to tap me in. If it doesn't tap me in, I'm out. I would have, if by this candle I didn't get tapped in, I was going to close the order. If the next candle came down and tapped me in, hey, it is what it is. I stick to my doctrine, right? And that's what's in SEI. The structural elasticity intelligence. After A2, it creates that ray line for 12 bars. It lets you know, gives you like a visual component of, all right, this is how far I gotta go to get tapped in. If I don't get tapped in, then I'm out. And as you can see, it tapped me in on the 10th bar. This is bar number 12, bar number 10 tapped me in. That's why I said, like, we were going back and forth trying to figure out what's the best amount of bars. On a 2-minute time frame, 12 bars is enough. You should not be waiting 30, 40, 50 minutes for a tap in. It's crazy. By that time, you're probably going to not only get tapped in, you're going to get stomped out because the market's going to create a whole new structure, right? So you want it to be at least the max, 12 bars. So let's go back to this ping here. Temporal elasticity window defined. That's what this is. When you go and draw that line. Now, again, if the state is pullback or it is continuous, Jarvis will do it for you. So you don't have to worry about that. But if it's not and you want to enter limit, that's what you do. Just start from A2 and just count 12 candles and then draw the vertical line and say, cool, I need to get tapped in by then. If I don't get tapped in, then I'm out. So that's that. Structures survive elasticity decay, which is right. What does that mean? Okay, well, this is the structure, right? Look what it did. It came up, it came down, tapped in, and went back up. If it didn't survive it, it would have went up, came down, and it came all the way down and stomped me out. Then I would have been stomped out. It is what it is. That's why you don't want to keep that window too no, open too long, basically. Expansion triggered before expiration. So basically, the expansion happened here, and I was able to get my little profit. Okay. Profit extracted during first meaningful sponsored expansion. Correct. So, you know, I could have entered on confirmation here, right? And do, let's say, a market order, because limit was not going to tap me in, and I'm going to show you why it wouldn't have tapped me in if I did a limit on confirmation. But the way the stats was, the way it was a -1, the way it says slow and balance, things like that, you don't want to be too close in price when you're trying to enter. You don't want to enter when you're too close in price. Too close in price means if this candle is currently being built out, you don't enter here. You just price too tight. It's too tight a price. Give it some breathing room. Now, why I didn't get tapped in? I wouldn't have been tapped in if I did a limit on confirmation. This guy. Limit entry telemetry. Let. This red circle means you weren't going to get tapped in. Because remember, Jarvis is able to simulate broker tap ins based off of how you configure your limit entry telemetry. Your penetration buffer for your ATR, your ticks, and all that other good stuff. Okay, so I definitely would have gotten tapped in here. So that there it is there, because the market did confirmation and it just went up. But I was reserved and I waited and I won, and that's the main thing. So what would you call this? This is a highly sophisticated execution chain. Now, this video is probably, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, right? It didn't take me 15, 20 minutes to actually go in and take this trade. But I was able to analyze this quickly, knew what I had to do. I didn't FOMO in, and I entered. Um, and that's what it is. And then lastly, also too, even Jarvis said order type was limit, LMT. So even Jarvis was saying if you're gonna enter, don't do market, do limit. Sometimes they'll do market, but this was limit. Oh yeah, and one more thing. So you see this little A plus? This A plus is the grade for this confirmation candle. There's a velocity plus MACD intelligence in Jarvis, which will actually put that color code into the confirmation candle itself. So it's telling you that this candle with this signal, there is a velocity with MACD here, plus MACD. Okay. Um, so that's basically the video for today. That's how I got my 1.23R. But use this video as an analysis on how to take a trade with Jarvis. It may appear overwhelming, but it really isn't. Jarvis is really bringing that type of information to allow you to take trades anywhere. Because technically, if you were to zoom this out, traders would not be here taking any trades right now, right? But I was able to do it. Um, Hope you enjoyed the video. This is Jarvis. More to come.